finally, we've hit chapter 19. Chapter 19 has some famous stories in it. It starts off with the story of Zacchaeus, a Bible school or vacation Bible school favorite throughout the years. And then after that is the parable of the talents. Often it's translated as talents. In NRSV, it's pounds. Also kind of a fairly well-known story. And then we get the triumphal entry into Jerusalem, which marks the beginning, the end of the travel narrative, and the beginning of the passion story. So we have three sections in Luke, basically. We have the birth and the beginning of the ministry, the sagas of John the Baptist and Jesus and the beginnings of his ministry. And that's where he kind of gathers this very eclectic, very diverse community from a lot of different towns, a lot of different places, both Jews and Gentiles. And then we have the travel narrative where Jesus steadfastly sets his face towards Jerusalem. And presumably these people go with him. Though the text seems to indicate that people start pulling away and trickling off as they start to realize what's going to happen in Jerusalem. Then finally, the third section begins with the triumphal entry, and it's the passion narrative, which includes the arrest, Jesus teaching in the temple, him being arrested, him being tried and convicted and crucified, buried, and resurrection. And those things are the things we're going to be reading this week. Now, for you liturgically minded folks, you might be going, wait a second. December 19th, we're reading chapter 19, and that happens to fall on Advent 4, the fourth Sunday of Advent, and now we're moving into this week leading up to Christmas. That's going to be this coming weekend. And you might be thinking, wait a second, this is too much like Holy Week. Like on Passion Sunday, on Palm Sunday, we read about the triumphal entry. Why are we doing that at Christmas time? We're getting ready for the baby, the cute little adorable baby. This is a time of wonder and hope and joy. Why are we reading the Passion story? Well, let me pose a question to you. What does the birth mean without the life and the death and the resurrection of Jesus? And actually, you can ask that question about all of those things. What does the life of Jesus mean without the birth, death, and resurrection? What does the death of Jesus mean without the birth, life, and resurrection? What does the resurrection of Jesus mean without the birth, life, and death? I think that's worth pondering and would love to hear your specific thoughts about that because I think the whole story is necessary. The whole story is necessary in order to invite us into the redeemed life, the reconciled life with God. Jesus does something. Jesus' being changes something, but it is the whole expanse of his being, birth, life, death, resurrection, that brings about this ontological change in the cosmos, in the universe. And I think that's worth pondering on. If we pulled one of those things out, if we pulled out the birth, how much does that change the story? In fact, Mark and John don't have birth narratives at all. If we pulled out the life, what does it matter that he has a spectacular birth and a tragic death? There were a lot of people crucified in Jesus' day. That was a common technique of the Romans to oppress people. What does it matter if he taught all these things, but he's not resurrected? I think that highlights the strength of each of those parts of the story by asking, how is it different without them? So just something to think about as we move through this week. And yes, we're going to read the Passion story, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for us to reflect on the death of Jesus as we are going towards celebrating the birth of Jesus. That contrast between those two things gives us a chance to invite us into the meanings of both and strengthen the meanings of both. So I hope you find this coming week helpful and reflecting on the Passion as we get ready for the birth. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We really hope you are enjoying these reflections on the Gospel of Luke. Stay tuned as we're going to have some special guests joining us soon as we continue this chapter by chapter journey towards Christmas through this season of Advent with the Gospel of Luke. If you haven't already, please click the subscribe button down below. Also, hit that thumbs up. That really helps out the video and increases our circulation and our proclamation of the gospel. And hit the bell. That way you're notified and you can stay on top of this devotional journey through the Gospel of Luke. Again, we hope you are enjoying these reflections, and we hope that you remember that no matter what, God loves you more than you can possibly imagine.